Basmajian. I am hailing from Los Angeles in California, and I am actually part of the special events team with Wave Learning Festival. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. You'll learn all about it. But I am also, as Bushra said, an alum from last year's Youth Summit, where I talked about with my cohort on globalizing mandatory comprehensive sex education. That's a bit of a mouthful, but you can definitely tell that education spans all sorts of different topics. Today, we might be, with Carly's example, talking about maybe the more traditional sense of education. But I think just with last year, we related to our conversation to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So before I introduce Carly, I just want to talk about that a little bit. Today, our Sustainable Development Goals with Carly might be related to SDG 10, Reduced Inequalities, and SDG 4, Quality Education. So kind of just keeping that in the back of your mind and relating things to the UN. And then I'll introduce Carly. As Bushra said, Carly is Wave Learning Festival founder and executive director, and we're going to listen to her speak about her role as a young leader in the youth education field and her experience and continued experiences in mitigating the effects of the pandemic on the growing educational gap. Wave Learning Festival is a 501c3 nonprofit that's combating longstanding educational inequalities exacerbated by the pandemic. Wave Learning Festival provides 100% free, live, online, peer-to-peer learning platforms and offers diverse seminars during the summer, 24/7 tutoring during the school year, college and career support, and more. In less than 2 years, they've served 17,000 plus students, run 600 plus courses, and 6,000 plus hours of tutoring. And Carly is a junior at Harvard University studying computer science and mathematics. And now I'm going to hand the virtual microphone to Carly. And Carly, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. It's so great to meet you all, and I'm so excited to be here today. And this is certainly one of our very special events because all of you are here from around the world. I was just listening to Bushra tell me earlier about how many cities y'all are listening in from. So for anyone who wants to, please feel free to drop your city in the chat, just because it's always so cool to see where y'all are coming in from. But yeah, I do have a couple of slides prepared today, so I will share those and we can get started. Let me just expand this. Okay, so I'm here today to talk to you guys about Wave Learning Festival. And really our story is a story about thousands of youth from around the world stepping up to take action during a very challenging time. So I want to begin by telling you guys a little bit about myself as a kid. So when I was 4 years old, I wanted to be a teacher because my kindergarten teacher, Miss Quistad, this lovely woman on the left, was seriously one of the coolest people I knew. She was just kind and welcoming, and I wanted to be just like her so that I could inspire other kids. And so when I got to high school, I started volunteering at a nonprofit as a math tutor and Spanish translator for local low-income families. And at my school, I started tutoring students one-on-one at the library, helping them go from D's to A's. And now in college, I'm teaching classes like stats and art history. And I have just been so fortunate to have amazing mentors and support throughout my childhood. And because of that, I know just how important it is for everyone to have the opportunity. I've always believed that giving someone a good education is one of the best gifts you can give someone, and really the starting point for the rest of their lives. And through all of this work, I've seen really that every single student is talented. Every student has big dreams, as I'm sure all of you do, and every student has the potential to succeed. But so many students are not given the opportunity to do so. And while conducting research on educational and economic mobility, I realized just how unequal school funding, personal mentorship, extracurricular access, and all of these things are. The truth is that our educational systems continually fail low-income students. 51% of students in US public schools are low income, which is a staggering number. And these students are 6 times more likely to drop out, a number which falls significantly with out-of-school support and programs. And these students are also 80% less likely to attend college, which means that there's less likely to discover all these opportunities of what they enjoy studying, career opportunities, meeting other students, and things like that. And all of these gaps are only widening. The pandemic has only further exacerbated these long-standing inequities, and its effects are projected to persist decades into the future. And without intervention, low-income students will fall even farther behind. Luckily, if there's anything that the pandemic has given us, it's that all of us are now so much more comfortable with online learning. Just like we see all of you guys logging on to Zoom today, this is something that we would not have expected from students a couple of years ago. And so having these tools gives us this opportunity to quickly reach and connect large groups of students, regardless of where they may be from or what their background may be. And so when COVID did shut down schools and summer programs and everything in 2020, a memory which I'm sure you all do not look fondly back on, we just saw students really struggling to know how they could continue learning during the summer, how they could still connect with other students and just have fun and continue finding things to be fulfilled by during that summer. And so the idea was, what if we bring together all these college students who are looking for a way to help and have them teach fun classes on whatever they like doing for younger students. So at the beginning of that summer, we ran our first little wave of classes, as we call them, and we had 11 courses for about 500 students. And we were just blown away by how many students really wanted to call in and learn from their peers and just hang out together. And so over the course of that summer, we just grew as fast as we could to meet that demand. We ended up running around 500 classes that summer on all sorts of different topics. And around 10,000 students called in from all over the world to learn together. And that was just so inspiring to us. And so since then, we've tried to expand our services and continue addressing the root problem, which is these kinds of inequities that continue to persist. And so we are Wave Learning Festival, as Alana introduced. We are a nonprofit and a 100% free, live, online, peer-to-peer learning platform, which means that our college student mentors provide all of our services. And so for our low-income K-12 students and schools, we provide lots of diverse courses on non-traditional seminars. So we've had things like the mathematics of burritos, hip hop and literature, public speaking, galaxies far away, and things like that. So just really fun topics. We also offer live tutoring every single day, as well as 24/7 homework help asynchronously. So if students have a homework question or exam they're prepping for, they can just log on and ask a question quickly. We also have college and career support and all sorts of other services. And we're super lucky to have tons of support from our partner organizations who help ensure that all of this is a success. We've also been working with a bunch of under-resourced schools across the US. And so these are some schools and organizations that we've worked with. And what we do is we'll call with the organization to figure out what exactly they want, whether that's after school tutoring or college application talks or just opportunities to connect with college student mentors. And so in 2 years, we've been really lucky to work with over 17,000 students. We've provided around 6,000 hours of tutoring and partnered with over 600 schools and organizations to provide over 500 courses. And I mean, numbers are always cool, but I think behind everything, it's always about the people that we're working with and the students that we're able to work with. And so I wanted to spotlight the story of Anna, who took classes with us in our earliest summer in 2020. She is now actually our Chief Program Officer, so she's working to make these programs a success for continued students. She's also a freshman at Yale this year, which is super cool. And she's just a rock star. If you guys ever get to meet her, super passionate about everything that she does. But this is what she said about WAVE, which is that, this was a place where students are able to take risks and learn and grow in a no judgment zone. There are no consequences for a wrong answer because there are no tests or grades. And a STEM kid can take an art class, or a humanities kid can take a class in calculus, and you don't have to pay. It's really just an opportunity to get to know new opportunities and learn new subjects. And I think that is so valuable for us to continue supporting. And for us, we know that there are lots of great programs out there like Khan Academy, YouTube, Coursera, and we love that those exist. But I think what we do uniquely is that all of our services are live, which is super important because I'm sure you all have tried to watch recorded lectures online and read articles, but it's never the same as being able to talk to someone and work on something together or get your questions answered or just collaborate on something. We also are proud to offer lots of unique topics. So like I mentioned before, it's not just trigonometry or reading comprehension, but really you get to explore all these cool topics. And we think it's relatable because our college students are teaching everything. So it's not someone who's 30 or 40 years older than you, but really someone who was in your shoes just a couple years ago. And you get to talk to them about their experience and just understand the way they see this topic. And most importantly, we really care about our community and just fostering that kind of connection between all of our students and mentors. This is a map of where students and tutors are from. So we think it's super cool that people are logging in from across the country to learn together. And I know that you all come from all around the world, and recently we have been expanding. So our students do come from actually over 60 countries around the world, and we'd love to have you with us as well. And overall, our mission is just to change education and fundamentally change the way that we think about these resources, changing them from something that you have to pay thousands of dollars for or be born into a privileged background for, into something that every single student can access free of charge, no matter where you're from, and make learning a community effort. So we love to have all of you get involved with us as well. We are actually running our last wave of fun classes this summer, and registration is open now until July 29th. I don't want to make this too much of an ad, but I did want to just spotlight all the cool classes we're running. And so if you're interested in debate, neuroscience, art and design, poetry, philosophy, any of these things, please do come join us and learn with us and just have some fun this summer. And if you're interested in keeping up with our story, you can definitely also apply to join our organizing team, where we've been so lucky to have awesome people like Alana working with us. You can sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date with our opportunities or talk to us on social media. And before I wrap this up, I just want to leave you with this quote from Nelson Mandela, which is that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And I think as young people, we all know exactly what it takes for us to be able to have a good time learning and to be able to actually grow. And so I really encourage all of you to step up in your communities and just figure out how to help each other, because the adults are there with their research and their stats, but they have long forgotten what it's like to be in a classroom or what it's like to want to learn something that you're actually passionate about. And so you all have the skills and the power to really make a change. I encourage you to do so. That's everything I had prepped. So thank you so much. And I would love to hear your thoughts or questions and continue the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carly. Like Carly just said, feel free to pop any questions that you have in the chat or just unmute yourself. And I just want to say, I think it's really inspiring to see how you've taken such a widening education disparity and taken such a thorough and active stance in combating that. It's very inspiring. So yeah, does anybody, I'll give you guys maybe like a minute or so if you want to think of something and write it in the chat, or just unmute.
Thanks so much, Alana. And I just wanted to mention that, like I said earlier, none of our work would be possible without the amazing students who have come to work with us, including Alana, who has worked so hard on putting this together. And so just quick shout out to her for that.
Thank you. And Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for sharing this, Carly. I mean, it's such a wonderful organization that you've created. One really burning question I wanted to ask, because I know a big challenge in creating any nonprofits or getting youth to organize is often like a lot of this, like logistical things of building an organization and starting up and resources and bringing people together to really get something off the ground. What are some challenges you encountered while trying to develop your nonprofit, and how did you overcome them?
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Jennifer. I agree. It has been very challenging. And honestly, when you talk about like what challenges have come up, it's really every single day something new comes up that you've never seen before. And I think especially as young people, like we're not coming out of this with having started tons of things before and worked at lots of companies and organizations. And so a lot of the times we're having to figure out things on our own for the first time. I remember at the beginning, for example, we're trying to get all the legal things put together about how to incorporate, like how to just exist as an organization and not get fined by the government. You don't really know how to do any of that as a kid. And so what we had to do was just reach out to adults to ask about their experiences, get consulting on what it really takes to put that together, do a lot of research ourselves, just go on the internet, look for free resources on how to put things like that together. I think also in the beginning, it was very hard for us to estimate how many courses we'd have to provide to cater to the amount of students who wanted to come in, because especially the first summer, we had no idea that so many students were going to have to join. And so all of a sudden we had to recruit students to teach on a very short time frame. And so it took just us just being able to work on this for multiple hours a day and reaching out to all of our college friends and publishing this to pretty much any college network that we could find to encourage people to come teach, just telling them about what a great time previous teachers had in talking to students and being able to teach to encourage them to come work with us. And then going forward, just trying to expand and figuring out just how many volunteers and organizers it takes to run an effort like this. And so we're definitely thankful for anyone who's willing to come donate their time with us, trying to find the resources to support us, just like emailing any company or foundation that will be willing to listen to us and maybe, write us a check or give us some advice to help us out. And I think through all of this, the biggest learning is just don't be afraid to ask for help, because if you really reach out to other organizations or your personal mentors or just people you've worked with, I think you'll be surprised by how much time and advice and money people are willing to give you if you tell them what you believe in and why it's important. I don't know if that answered your question, but
yes,
definitely
did.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions they want to unmute for, or just pop it in the chat?
I have a question. Okay, so first of all, I would like to tell you what a beautiful initiative this is. It's absolutely mind-blowing what you do. So kudos to that. So my question is, I'm pretty sure when you first started out, you've had to face certain, rejections or discouragement or criticisms, like people telling you that you'll never be able to do it, you can't handle it, it's a huge responsibility. People will obviously say that to you, right? Because I think it's fair to say that some elders are even jealous that you're doing something so beautiful, right, at this young age. So how did you deal with it?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, your kind words, Devaki. We definitely encounter that a lot. I'm sure you guys have all encountered this before, but when you're young, a lot of people will tell you, you don't have the experience for this. You don't have the money for this. You don't know how the world works and things like that. But I think one of the strengths that we have as young people is that we don't know what's not possible. And so I think that really empowers you to try a lot of things that maybe adults who have done this for years wouldn't be willing to try. A lot of people told us that it would be impossible to organize this as just a couple of college kids, anything of this scale. People told us that, you can't do this without paying everyone who's involved, paying for tons of advertising, paying for full-time employees. But we realized that so many college kids just really wanted to help because they wanted to give back and were willing to donate their hours to teach or to tutor, and found so much enjoyment from just working with other students. We found that middle and high schoolers were actually super motivated and wanted to learn if it was something that was interesting and something they felt they could relate to. And so I think you just have to keep proving people wrong and going for something if you really believe in it. I think also the rejections definitely get easier over time, because in the beginning, we would email so many people to ask if they wanted to mentor us or if they wanted to donate to us or just spread the word about us. And, thousands of emails were never replied to or opened. Hundreds of people told us, no, this seems cool, but it's too early for us to get involved. But for all of those rejections, there will always be someone who says yes and someone who will stick up for you. And we found believers in, adults who were willing to spend so many hours giving us advice. We found people who were willing to donate to us and support us. We found volunteers who wanted to come teach with us, and teachers who wanted to send emails about us to their students, to their parents. And so I would just say, don't take any rejections personally. because you'll never get everyone to believe in you. But as long as you can find that one person or that one organization who is willing to stand up for you, you will have everything you need to just move forward with what you believe in.
And then is it Kushik? Do you want to go?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm a member of the Flags for the Future organization, which we're part of the Eileen Murphy Foundation. What we do is basically first we're helping children in right now DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Kabul, Afghanistan. We're helping these girls who have been denied the access to education study through this initiatives. So in case anyone's interested, I'm putting both of our websites in the chat. Please feel free to take a look. So my question is that through this initiative, how did you raise awareness that this is actually a thing? Like, how did you how did you advertise not just to teachers but to students as well that, hey, if you need help, please come here, we can actually help you?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's definitely been one of our biggest challenges because we have so many resources that we want students to come take advantage of, and most students just have never heard of it. So I think our strategies have changed from the beginning to now. In the beginning, we relied a lot more on our personal networks. And so, for example, we would all post about this on our social media, and we would talk to our friends about it, and we would post to our college list saying, could you please share this with anyone you knew? But of course, it's very inefficient because we only get to reach the people who know us. And so we started emailing just every teacher in the US. We found a list of, I think it was every principal in the US or something. And we were able to just send emails to all of them saying, hey, we're trying to get this started. If you think this is valuable, please let your students know about that. And we were able to build really great relationships with a lot of teachers that way. We were also lucky to just get a lot of momentum, I think, early in the summer. And so because of that, we reached out to news organizations saying, could you please help us spread the word? We want students to take advantage of this summer. And a few outlets were willing to spotlight us, which we were super thankful for. After we went on the Today Show, I think we got like 5,000 signups just the day after, which blew us away. And we were like, wow, we need to provide a lot more classes this week because so many students just came in. So I think those are all great opportunities. We've also approached just like local newsletters, local newspapers, really anyone who's willing to share your story. We've partnered with other nonprofit organizations to be able to host events together like this so that we can all help each other out and build that community. And we've had youth ambassadors at different schools who are willing to go share this resource. I think recently we've also tried with more advertising just because even though we have all these free avenues or pour efforts, sometimes if you do have funding, it's okay to let that money do some of the work for you. And so we've started running ads on Facebook and Instagram to try to reach students. I think some other avenues that have been helpful, we started a podcast about a year ago where we'd have cool guests on to talk about their life stories. And so that's also a way where some students find out about our services. And we produce YouTube videos about getting financial aid, applying to college, things like that. So I think through just a wide variety of methods, we've been trying to spread the word about what we do.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Trisha, oh, go ahead.
So yeah, just thank you so much.
Perfect. And then Trisha, if you want to ask your question, and then that'll be the last question so we can move on to the next portion.
My question is, what role do you think the government leaders should play in education?
Yeah, thanks for your question, Trisha. I think actually in a perfect world, the government would fix all these issues and then we wouldn't need to be here, because I think at the root of a lot of these issues is that fundamental funding gap for school districts. And I know you'll come from around the world, and so maybe your school systems are different, but in the US, the amount of funding that goes to different schools is just so different. There are schools that are able to afford computers for all their students and run these expensive programs and provide extracurricular opportunities and college counselors and all these services for their students. And there are other schools that are running on so little that they're struggling to just pay their teachers, much less run these after-school programs. And so, of course, it's going to be a huge difference in the quality of learning that students are able to access. And then there's personal, just economic differences, where because things like tutoring can be so expensive, or test prep programs can be so expensive, a lot of students simply can't afford these programs. And so because of that, all of these inequalities just start from such a young age and continue to grow as students get older. And so if the government could equalize funding for school districts, make sure that every student actually has that opportunity, that would fix a lot of these issues, or at least lessen them from a younger age. And so I think the government should be taking a stance to equalize that early opportunity. They should be making sure that every student has access to these kinds of programs. And there are lots of great activists who are working on it, but it's still a work in progress, and we'll see if the government actually makes it happen.
Alrighty, thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I love that we were able to continue that conversation.